Hello and welcome into another edition of March to the Pod presented by Eternal Roofing. We have a complete show today and no time for the producer to mess this up. Football, hey, they had some holes. They're filling them. Men's basketball is loaded with talent. And baseball, they sweep FIU. That's right. We have sound effects. I'm your host, Corey Hogue, the non FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channels at Corey Hogue Sports. I'm joined by the creator and manager of Sports of SHSU. That's all one word on Twitter and Instagram. The chief operating officer of Cat Fund and proud Bearcat alum, Ben Sorrells. Ben, if people are watching on YouTube, they can see where to find us on social media.
Yeah, lots of upgrades too. Corey's been in the lab the past couple of days getting us ready for a big episode. Things are looking good.
Man, hey, you just put way too much pressure on me. Way too much pressure. We'll see how this plays out. How about we do that?
Set the bar low, right?
That's right. That's right. Set the bar low. Hey, look, welcome to March to the Pod. Look, see, he's on it. Corey's on his game. Guess what happened this week?
Some big additions.
It was the Missouri State Bears have joined Conference USA. And Ben, as we think about this one, I got to tell you, I was surprised. I'm not saying it's right or wrong pick. I was surprised it was not Tarleton.
I was a little bit too. I think people knew Missouri State was interested, but Tarleton's all in 100%. It felt like they were going to find their way in hell or high water, and was a little surprising to see it be Missouri State. I'm not opposed to it being Missouri State, but like you said, I'm a little surprised it didn't end up being Tarleton when it all came down to the end of it.
And TexasFootball.com this week, I had a piece on what's next for the Texas teams remaining in the WAC. And for those unaware, the former conference that Sam Houston was a part of for, roughly 1 year, it is in trouble. Grand Canyon and Seattle are moving to the West Coast Conference. Very likely SFA heads back to the Southland soon, and Tarleton and Abilene Christian are unsure what to do, especially Tarleton. Tarleton had full expectations of going FBS, and now that path is seemingly closed. Oh man, it's been an interesting couple of weeks around the non-FBS world of conference realignment, and it's not stopping. We got some more coming, Ben.
That's exactly what I was going to. That's what I was going to say. It feels like it never stops, and I know you brought up the WAC and some of the teams leaving there. It's going to be very interesting to see Washington State play a conference game at Seattle in the near future. Just the joys of conference realignment. That's one of the weirdest ones out there.
Yeah, and now the WAC has football, but they don't because it's under the umbrella of the United Athletic Conference. There's so many questions, and I did put in my piece though. I did mention Sam Houston because a few years ago, when they made that move, Ben, the whole purpose was to have a conference strong enough to get 2 bids into the NCAA basketball tournament. And then Sam Houston and New Mexico State saw their opportunity, and they made that jump to FBS. And more power to them, right? That's all good. But boy, did that end the dreams of a 2-bid conference in the WAC. It's not even possible.
Yeah, 2-bid in really any sport for the WAC. Baseball, basketball, whatever sport it might be. And who knows if the WAC will even be around by this time next week, next year, whatever. So, I mean, like you said, it's never ending.
Yeah, it is. And, look, I know the WAC is fighting. They're doing things they can. There's a lot of I'm getting a lot of conflicting information on SFA and ACU right now. Southland is holding meetings, and I'm telling you, Ben, it's an interesting time in our world of college football. And all of that starts at the top, right? Like all of that, I even mentioned in that story, if you go in there and read it, is that this starts with FBS, right? When the ACC takes SMU, and then the American pools from Conference USA or the Sun Belt, and then they go to pool from FCS. That pretty much, there's an hierarchy, however the heck you say that word, in college football.
There is, yeah, and it really started all a couple of years ago with Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC, and then the Big 12 tries to grab some teams, and they do, and then Mountain West starts pulling teams, and then Conference USA gets teams pulled from it. And I mean, it's just been a domino effect ever since that Texas Oklahoma move. And one question I have for you, Corey, on your opinion on this: if SFA goes back to the Southland, would they be playing in the Southland next season, or would they go through another year in the WAC and then make the move?
I will tell you that I believe that's the holdup right now.
Mm.
I believe that's why we don't have an announcement yet, because the WAC is going to want to hold them for another year. The Southland is not, or they want them. But here's the other thing, Ben, you got to think about it, and why I think it's actually best if they wait a year. Because these other schools, I've heard from coaches, man, they got contracts already. So now if they have to accept SFA this season, they have to break existing contracts, which is going to cost them money at a time and in a world where that seems to be of the highest value, right? Everybody's cutting budgets. So especially at that level, right? Like it's hard for me to see a Houston Christian go, hey, yeah, let's go ahead and pay off this fee that we get for breaking a contract. I have a hard time seeing that being a thing. So in my opinion, the best move is they're going to do it. That's fine. I understand. It makes perfect sense. Do it in 25, 26. I think it'll just be better that way. At the same time, man, I hear schedules are made. Schedules are being made. People are preparing for both sides. So, I mean, man, that stuff changes all the time. And then Southland was holding meetings in San Antonio the last couple days. And, man, it all kinds of conflicting stuff coming out of those meetings. So it's just interesting to see how all this plays out, man. And for Sam Houston, I think this is one of those times now where we've discussed, was the move right? I think you're seeing here that, yeah, it may have left some problems in the wake of it, but moving up when they did and how they did, they made the best move at that time.
Right. Yeah. There's been a lot of growing pains, like we've said, but ultimately, I think this is the long-term best decision, and I'm glad we are where we are. And I asked that question because I know, and we'll get into it a little bit later, the SFA Sam Houston game got announced today as a part of the WAC CUSA scheduling initiative, and so we'll see what happens with that game. If SFA moves to the Southland, who knows if we'll get that game, but if they stay in the WAC, which I hope they do for another year, we'll get that game at Johnson Coliseum.
Yeah, and there it is, as you mentioned it, the WAC Conference USA Alliance matchup. So at Tarleton, November 8th. I think that's a set one. I think that one's going to be good.
And that'll be a good game. Tarleton's a good team.
That will be a very good game. Do you know who Jalen Bristow is? She was the Miss Texas basketball last year from Holiday High School, a little 3A around here that they won state. She went to Iowa State last year, and now she's transferred to Texas Tech. She's gotten a lot of playing time, even as a freshman. Her brother is committed to Tarleton.
Got it. For basketball?
For basketball. He'll be a freshman next year there for Tarleton. So, yeah, now Tarleton, look, Billy put together a team. He knows how to put together a roster, and that's going to be a very tough one. And like as you mentioned, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the photo put together by some outstanding graphic artists of Sam Houston, SFA, December 16th in Huntsville. I like how the WAC CUSA had an alliance put this rivalry together and gave Sam Houston the home game. I wonder if that kind of eats at some of our Jack friends a little bit.
I hope it does. I hope it makes them a little frustrated. Anything you can do to get under their skin is a good thing. I feel like,
Well,
from my perspective.
that's definitely a perspective, no doubt. And
Yeah.
that's how we're
And I was going to say, speaking of Tarleton, here's another connection with the Tarleton team. So Freddie Hicks, who was at Tarleton, went to Arkansas State for a year, had a really good year. He's now back at Tarleton. He is the cousin of Damon Nicholas Jr. For Sam Houston. So some family ties there. So some interesting players there for Tarleton.
Oh yeah, yeah. They got a good team. That's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got more basketball to talk about later because they're just adding to. But before we get to all that, we want to tell you about our friends and our sponsor over at Eternal Roofing. Let me tell you, when you talk about Taylor and you talk about his crew, there's a few things that you know you're going to get. And of those, one of them is quality. The other one is just premier professional service. And then the final one is great people. Because that's what Taylor hires. That's what he keeps around is great people. They'll come out and give you a free detailed roof inspection, fast professional service. They're not going to pressure you with any of these sales pitches. And they have exceptional warranties to their workmanship. You'll hear us throughout this show tell you about our friends at Eternal Roofing. And believe you me, they are everything we say they are. Give them a call, get a hold of them. If you're in the Montgomery County area code 936-215-8539. If you're in the Hill Country, you can call area code 830-251-5673 or email Taylor at eternalroofing.com. I think it's eternalroofingtx.com. Yeah, it likely is. We'll find out.
Yeah,
Hey, it actually says eternalroofingtx.com on there, doesn't it? No,
it
says,
does.
is it? Yeah, it's okay. You know, when you're the producer, you can just edit things right there in the middle of the show. Look at that. Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com. If you're watching on YouTube, a special hello to you. And also, there's the phone numbers, there's the email address. And today's hat is the Round Rock Express. It's got an engine coming at you, Ben. What do you
Yeah,
think about that?
yeah. Isn't that one of their primary logos? But it's still a pretty cool one.
Does everything? I mean, yeah, it's primary, but primary is fine.
No, I'm saying it's a cool one,
I
even though
actually
it
wore
is
it for a
primary.
reason today because the baseball team is just blowing through teams, man. And we'll get to that here a little bit later on. But they've been a steam engine in conference at least. So that's
Yeah,
in conference. But first, we have had some big things happening this week with the football team. A whole lot of additions. You know, we talked, Ben, they had some holes to fill after spring and after some of the guys that they lost that went portal and we knew some of those that we know they needed some defensive tackles and we knew they needed some defensive backs, right? We had talked about that all the time. Well, guess what? Guess what they went out and found, Ben?
exactly what you said. DBs and
Exactly.
D
Yeah,
tackles.
exactly what they needed. And if you've been following Sports of SHSU on Twitter or visiting the exclusive Cat Fun section of at catfans.com, you're going to know about these ahead of time. Guys like Nyquil Hawkins, who is transferring from Virginia Tech. He's played 15 games over 3 seasons. And Ben, when I looked at this, that was a very impressive pickup for Sam Houston, in my opinion. I'm curious your thoughts.
Yeah, it's a guy that has experience. He didn't play last year, but the year before in 2022, when he saw a lot of action, he was one of the primary DBs for Virginia Tech and had 25 tackles that year. So you get a guy with experience, probably someone you can plug and play, and you needed 2 to 3 DBs. And I know we've got 2 that have announced commitments. And so, like you said, filling holes and getting the guy with experience that can probably play right away.
Watch this. You mentioned the other one. Hey, there it is. Jalen O'Neal coming from Abilene Christian to Sam Houston. This is one, Ben, that if he didn't play last year, he was a 3-star out of Manville High School. He didn't play last year, but Cassidy was the DC there, as we all can remember. If he's bringing him over, I got to think he saw something special in this kid.
Yeah, it's someone that Cassidy and the staff was really high on, and was an impressive prospect coming out of high school just a year or two ago. And he comes from Manville, which has a really good program, and they produce a lot of really good players. And so you lost some contributors at the DB spot, like Crosby and Hobbs, but you also lost some of the younger guys also. And so it's good to get in another younger guy that has a couple of years left. Might not play a ton this year, but can kind of grow into some playing time over the next few years. And like you said, if Cassidy's bringing him over, it's someone that he liked and needed 2 to 3 DBs, and there's 2 of them right there. So probably need one more.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. In the meantime, they also went and got a big fella. They needed a big fella. They got him. And I've got so many questions for this, Ben, but we'll start with the less obvious ones. Denver Humble Beast Warren, a defensive tackle transferring in from New Mexico State, who, by the way, has scrubbed his profile from their website.
Some schools do it, some schools don't.
Yeah, it's a little petty. That's a little petty when you do those things. But hey, petty be the Aggies, right? Is that the way it goes? Anyway,
Right.
Ben, tell us what you know about Denver.
Yeah, big body, 6'2", 300 pounds plus. Didn't play a ton last year. I think some of that was due to injury, but produced at a pretty good level when he did play. I think he had a couple tackles at Auburn when he played there. And you needed some depth at D tackle. And he's a guy that has played at this level, can provide some depth, maybe step in if he takes a big step forward, step in and maybe earn a starting role. And like we said, needed probably 1 or 2 D tackles. He's one of them, and there's one more on the way that I'm really excited about. So got that D tackle need filled with Denver, and then there's one more on the way also.
All right, Ben, then tell us. You say there's more on the way. Tell us what you know, what you can without giving away too much, because I'm guessing to get the full thing, people are going to need to visit the Cat Fund, the exclusive Cat Fund section of Cat Fans.
Yeah, we've got some info on there, but yeah, so we went through those 3 commitments. There are 4 more, including a running back who had over 1,000 yards rushing at the FBS level recently. So you add some depth to the running back room. 2 O linemen, both at the JUCO level, that both played on some pretty good teams and were really good at the JUCO level. And then, like I said, 1 more D tackle. So you got 3 there right now. You got 4 more that just haven't announced yet. And slowly beginning to fill those holes and add depth to this team as we go into next season.
After that, is that pretty much where they're going to take a break?
Yeah, I think maybe 1 more DB. So you got the 2 O linemen, running back, D tackle, and then I think 1 more DB. And then I think that'll probably be it. There might be 1 here or there, but yeah, 4 more might make it 5, and that should be it.
All right. Well, is there anything else football to discuss?
I haven't asked anybody about it today, but today was supposed to be the start of the track removal and turf renovation at Bowers, and so May 15th was the date that was on the board materials. That is today, so haven't heard anything on it yet, but assuming everything's to schedule, that's beginning today. So that's another thing on the football front. Nothing roster related, but it is related to football.
Yeah, anything schedule related that you've heard happening?
Yeah, not too much on the scheduling front. I know next season with the Texas game and the Hawaii exception could add a 13th game, especially that you might be able to go buy a game with that Texas money or maybe shuffle some games around when you go from Hawaii to Air Force within a 6-day at Hawaii, then at Air Force on a 6-day road trip. And so might see some shuffling there. I wouldn't be surprised if we had that 13th game, but Nothing on the scheduling front as of now.
What if I told you Hawaii to Air Force in 6 days might not be such a bad travel schedule?
So I agree with that, but from a budget perspective, you've got to
Oh, it
take.
sucks.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the big pain.
yeah, because you got to pay for the hotels, well, all the way to Hawaii, and then you don't come home. That's what you do, right? So you've got to have that money for food and for the hotels and everything it takes to have your football team, and you're going to need practice facilities too.
Right, and you got to take more people. You got to take additional tutors. You got to take additional training staff, and I mean that for 7 or 8 nights is expensive. So we'll
It
see.
is. Hey, step up and give your money, people. That's what it always comes
that's
down to,
that's what it
right?
always boils down to.
At the end of the day, we might as well just do a money podcast. Money for Sam Houston. Hey, speaking of podcasts, Ben, we are a podcast on the Republic of Football Network and an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and follow us on various social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads is coming back again soon, Ben, because I noticed Metricool is adding their API here, I believe, in the end of June or July. And so I can post onto all those platforms at one time. So Threads will be coming back. And how you find us? March to the pod. The word March, the number 2, the pod. It's all one word. And again, as we did earlier, always give another shout out to our friends who are watching on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page. I hope you're enjoying this. The I think the quality is getting better. Not necessarily the host or the looks of the host, but the quality I think is getting better, Ben.
Yeah, that's the one thing we can improve on. So we'll at
Yeah,
least try there.
I can't do anything about this. Nothing about that. But what I can also do, though, I can tell you about our friends over at Eternal Roofing. And, I told you earlier, they're just great people. That's what they are. But listen, they're not just roofs, right? They are also general contractors. And they can install, repair, paint the interior of your home business, install your gutters, garage doors, install floors. They can get any woodworking you need, whether it be crown molding or shelf. They repair sheetrock, and they are the choice when you need Christmas lights installed, Ben, because it's May 15th, and who's not thinking about Christmas lights?
I know, right? Dead heat of summer. We're getting to that hot time. We're all thinking Christmas lights, and if you are thinking Christmas lights, Eternal Roofing is the place to go.
And so you find them by visiting eternalroofingtx.com. You can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com, or you can give them a call in Montgomery County offices, area code 936-215-8539. The Hill Country, 830-251-5673. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's been on the bottom of your screen. Ben, this is going to be a fun little episode here that we have, because what happened this last week with the men's basketball and what Coach Mudge is doing is downright insane. He added 2 more huge players. And I mean, by huge, athletically talented and sometimes height wise. And what we're going to start with here, we're going to start by looking at Josiah Hammonds. Transferred from UIW, averaged 12 and a half points per game last year at UIW. What's he going to bring, and kind of where do you see his role on the roster?
Yeah, reminds me kind of what Lamar Wilkerson is and the kind of role he plays. High volume scorer, like you said, scored almost 13 points per game at Incarnate Word. I think he averaged 23 at the JUCO level the year before. Tough kid from Chicago, shot 37% from three, so he can really fill it up from the outside. And he proved he can do it against quality competition too. I think he had the second most points last season in a game against Tulsa. He had 22 on the road at Tulsa, and so I don't know if he fits into the starting lineup, especially with a guy like Lamar Wilkerson who kind of plays a similar game to him. But man, is he a high volume shooter that you can bring off the bench, and he can go get a bucket for you, which is something you need. You need depth when it comes to scoring, and he definitely brings that. So I'm really excited about what he brings.
Also, you said depth. We know after last year, injuries will really harm you in a hurry. One or two, maybe three big injuries, and you're in trouble. I feel like Mudge is in the process of one, two, three injuries may not put them in big trouble, just trouble.
Right. And Mudge's rotations last year, it got a little tighter in the conference tournament, but he went 10 deep pretty consistently last season. And so I think you've got 10 guys and you're too deep at every position that you can play, which is something you need for his system, but also something you need in general, like you said, because of injuries.
Yeah, a high energy system needs those kinds of players. Here's a guy, Brennan Burns, signed. He's from Bethany, Oklahoma. He was at Southeastern Oklahoma last year, Division Two, 16.4 points, 6.9 assists per game. Ben, let me tell you, as someone who watches a lot of basketball from D1 through D3, there's one thing I know. There are guards are everywhere. Guards are all over the place. But when you get one of those top guards at a Division Two, now that this transfer portal is how it is, you're going to see more things like this. Like Brennan Burns probably was under recruited, whatever reason may be. I don't even know where the heck Bethany, Oklahoma is. Right? Maybe he was in some little podunk town or something. But he obviously can play. And now he entered that portal, and Sam Houston's the beneficiary of a tremendous player.
Yeah, really, really excited about this pickup. If you follow me on Twitter/X, the two primary needs that I said we needed this offseason were another big to go alongside Kean Scroggins, and you got that with Khalifa Sacco a couple weeks ago. But the other one was another primary ball handler. Marcus Boykin was really your only true ball handler coming into the year, and he's more of a scoring guard. And so Burns fits that need perfectly. He was second nationally at the D2 level in assist at almost 7 per game. He was first in total assist. He can fill it up. And I think he's a guy that you could look at maybe even starting because he distributes the ball so well. And you've got scorers like Lamar Wilkerson, Cam Hoofner, and Damon Nicholas, guys like that. So you could be looking at your starting point guard here just based on the fact that you need a distributor, you need a ball handler, and he fits that need perfectly. And definitely seems like he was a guy that was under recruited, and he's going to be a big pickup for us.
What was it, about 2 weeks ago? We talked about that. They're needing another ball handler to replace Ray.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you saw me tweet this today, but Evan Maya, he's a guy that does a lot of good analytical research on college basketball. He pulled up a stat that showed Sam Houston is ninth nationally in the country over the last 5 years when it comes to production from non-Division One transfers. And I listed about 10 of them. And Burns is probably next on that list. I mean, it seems like everybody Sam Houston kind of plucks from the JUCO D2 ranks just kind of blossoms at this level. And I really expect Burns to kind of do that as well.
There is a ton of talent at those levels. More JUCO than D2. Um, like I said, man, guards are like running backs. They're a dime a dozen. The bigs are where you struggle.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about bigs, and if you're watching on YouTube, that's right. Old Ben got him a tweet up on our podcast right here. How about that, Ben? Woo!
I made it.
You made it. You made it.
Yeah.
Anyway, you made it, and yet this one has changed. Since you sent that out a few days ago, the front court you said has some serious size and experience. You've got Ian Scroggins with 6'7", Cam Booster 6'8", 6'8", CJ Beaumont, and how do you say that kid's name?
Sacco, Khalifa Sacco.
Khalifa Sacco. Utah State transfer. Now, Okomo from Temple, he will not be here. Is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's what we're hearing too. So it sounds like there's going to be one more scholarship spot open.
Yeah, so they're not done. And this is a heck of a front court. And I think the thing that's most impressive to me about this, Ben, I'm a big believer in modern day college basketball. Your fours and your fives sometimes have to be able to be a one and a two. And I feel like of the four that will be here, two, maybe three of them easily could play inside or outside and be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, especially Cam Hoofner. Cam Hoofner can play a little bit of guard if he needs to. Great 3-point shooter. Um, he's going to be one of the biggest pieces going into the next year. And then Kean Scroggins, all of a sudden last year developed a really sweet 15-foot jumper, which was really cool to see. And then CJ Beaumont's a guy who's 6'8", but he can play a little guard also. Didn't see a ton of him, and he can shoot it a little. So got some versatile guys in that 6'7", 6'8" range. And then Khalifa Sacco, I mean, you can't really teach being almost 7 foot. And he's going to kind of fill that role that Doumbia and Eziagu have had the last couple of years. But you do have those guys that can do a little bit of everything in Scroggins, Hoofner, and Beaumont.
That's awesome, man. Sounds like good times are ahead for Sam Houston on the men's basketball side. One thing I will say this: when if one program starts stepping out ahead of all the other programs on campus in the department, that can create pressure. And pressure is not always a bad thing. And I like seeing what Mudge is doing in this recruiting and how he's building this roster because he's showing everyone it can be done.
Yeah, and Mudge is just knowing him personally, he's a hustler. He's a businessman. He's going to get things done. And he worked really hard and is still working really hard to put this class together and finish it off. And he proved in year one he can do it. And year two, I mean, the expectations are going to be sky high. But like you said, there's nothing wrong with that. And on paper, I think this team is the most talented that we've ever had. And expectations will be high, and we'll see if they live up to it.
You said hustler. There are so many different definitions that could be.
He's a grinder. He's not hustling people for money. He's out there.
He's not a used car salesman.
No.
No.
In case you can't tell, I'm being sarcastic. In case.
Thanks, Homer.
Yeah, that's right, Homer. Homer's being sarcastic, dang it. Oh, goodness, Ben. What is wrong with us or me? I don't know. You know what, though? It's time for you to tell us about that thing we've been talking about a whole lot today, and that is that Cat Fund. And we've told people a few times, multiple times, the exclusive Cat Fund section at Cat Fans. Let the people know how they can become a part of that and get that exclusive inside information while supporting the athletes at Sam Houston.
Yeah, right there on the screen. Corey put it up, cat-fund.com. You can go ahead and sign up. Membership starts as little as $10 a month. And no matter what level you sign up at when it comes to a Cat Fund membership, you get access to the exclusive content over on catfans.com. So make sure you go sign up. Get into a membership level. You'll get access to that exclusive content. We've got basketball news and recruiting. We've got football news and recruiting. We've got scheduling stuff when it comes up, stadium projects that are going on. So definitely the place you want to be if you're a Cat fan and you want the inside scoop a little bit before it goes live on social media.
Yeah, look, $10 a month, as low as $10 a month, Ben. It's these days in the price of inflation, $10 a month is pretty much a McDonald's meal.
Yeah, or maybe just a drink.
Maybe just a drink. Well, hey, look, when I go to the Rangers game, it's a lot more than that for a drink.
For an adult drink, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I think I spent $30 one day on one of those. Yeah,
I'd rather just go thirsty.
it was good.
Corey needs his drink.
Hey, I was having a Corey day, that right? Like that's I was just getting away for a day. Whoo, wait, hey, you know what? We have not talked here recently about our friends over at Eternal Roofing. And so let's give them a shout out. Why don't we, Ben, before Corey gets himself in any more trouble? I've told you about how great they are, but look, they do quality work too. The Certainty shingles, though they are known for their weather resistance, how long they last, how great they look, and they're also specialists in commercial roofing. They have the ability to accommodate your HVAC system, any other equipment you have on your roof, while ensuring minimal disruption to your operations during installation or repair. And I haven't said it yet today. I've told you the website, eternalroofingtx.com. I suggest you go there and look at the gallery. They have a gallery of past projects, and you can see the amazing work that they do and that they give their customers. Give them a call or an email today. If you're in the Hill Country, you dial area code 830-251-5673. The Montgomery County office is area code 936-215-8539. You can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com. Give them a call. You will not regret it at all. Hey, Ben. Do you want to know what happened last weekend?
Let's hear it.
Baseball went to Florida International. And Days V. That's right. Corey found his feet track. Ben, how about that?
After how long we've talked about it, I'm glad we finally got it on here.
I know, right? So people can understand that I'm not just making it up. That actually came from a curling match. I actually went and recorded a curling match, pulled the audio to put on here so I could have them. Dude, I might put that as my alarm.
That'll wake you up in the morning.
6:45.
You might think it's your wife yelling at you to sweep the floor or something. Wake up in a panic.
Do you know what my wake up song is right now?
I have no idea.
It's from Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. The scuttlebutt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever works. I don't mind it. Whatever works for you.
I'm also a grown man with Toy Story on the face of my watch, too.
It's a classic. It's timeless.
Well, of course, man. It was not my childhood, unfortunately. I'm a little older than that. It was my 20s.
We're back to this again. Dating Corey.
Oh, Corey. Man, you gotta. I look and I'm like, dang, how long could I have left now, right? Like, I've probably lived more than half, but now I'm going to depress everyone.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the happiness of the baseball team, Ben. They had a fantastic weekend. And I want to dive into this series with you because you were watching, tweeting, following along. Friday was okay. A good Friday, right? They won. I think it was 7-1, maybe 7-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good game. But Saturday, Ben, tell us what happened that got us to that ninth inning. Where were the Cats? How was that game going? Because it seemed like I think I saw you post the Cats were ahead. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing that they're down by so many heading into the ninth inning. What happened?
Man, that was a roller coaster. I was going to say that was a roller coaster. So you go down, I think you go up 2-0, and then you fall behind. I think it was 9-3. Starter gets knocked out in the third. You just kind of fight back the entire game, and I think you get it to 11-8 there in the ninth, and you're down to pretty much your final strike, and you rattle off 8 runs in a row, and end up making it 16-11. Game ended 16-13. But my goodness, down to your final strike, down 3 runs, and it was good to see this team kind of find ways to win. They've found a lot of ways to lose, and it was good to kind of finally see them find a way to win, which was really encouraging and looked good all weekend. Really, I mean, they did it pitching, hitting, a little bit of everything, and it's good to see them finally put it together. A little bit of a rough night at U of H last night, but in conference play they've been putting it together, which is good to finally see.
Yeah, no, it is. It is good to see. So we have a clip that we're going to play, and you're going to hear. I believe this is Carlos Zimmerman on the call. Did he take that trip or make that call with them? I'm not sure who's on this call.
I'd have to listen to it.
Well, the good thing is we're about to. That's the good thing, Ben. All right. Hey, this was. Is it Jason Tatum?
No, Jake Tatum.
Jake Tatum. Okay. I'm trying to get that roster, and it's not coming up for me here. All I had was Tatum home run. So we're going to show it.
Did you say Jason Tatum?
Yeah. Hey, it sounded like it could be right.
No, I wish we had Jason Tatum. We could put him on our basketball team.
Yeah. That is true. Hey, look, I don't watch pro sports that often.
That's funny.
Here is, you said it's Jake Tatum?
Yep.
Jake Tatum with his home run that gave the Cats enough cushion to hold on in the 9th inning.
Tatum crushed it to center. An 8 spot in the 9th to the deepest part of the yard. Tatum's second tater of the game. How about Sam Houston?
What an eruption. What a performance by this lineup. We knew they could hit, but man, literally down to their final strike, down 3 runs, they've completely flipped the script in this game.
Was that Carlos?
No, that was not Carlos. That was the FIU broadcast team.
That was the FIU broadcast team?
Yeah.
They said a tater for Tatum with that much excitement?
That's what I was going to say. They gave it a good call.
They really did. That's why I thought it might be Carlos. I'm really impressed with FIU. They must not see a lot of action down there.
Well, FIU's had a pretty decent team this last year. They were coming in pretty hot. And the Jake Tatum game on Saturday was just really fun to see. I mean, he had 1 homer coming into the game yesterday, and or not yesterday, on Saturday, and he ended up finishing the game with 3 homers. So tripled his home run total in one night. Guy that started slow this year and has really picked it up. But yeah, that was quite the inning that he capped off there in the 9th.
It really was. It was fantastic. And as we take a look at what that sweep did for Sam Houston in Conference USA standings, they moved up to 5th. They are now at 10-11. And now 5-7 on the road, which is very, very good now. That sweep really made that record look a lot better. 30-22 overall, and they have a series against the worst team coming up. But before we get to that, after that sweep with such crazy game 2 and then a hard-fought game 3 win, let's hear what Coach Jay Sirianni had to say about his team after that.
All right, Coach, kind of just overall thoughts. Successful weekend on South Beach.
Well, I mean, tough place to play, and, I thought we hit it really well. And, we threw enough strikes to limit the damages at any time. But to come out of here with a sweep on the road is huge, and especially to get us into the tournament.
Just kind of talk about these conditions down here. I mean, this is hot, this is humid, it's kind of a grinder type of weekend, but it's kind of what you built for, right?
Yeah. I mean, these guys have kind of been going for 8-9 months now, and it's starting to pay off a little bit. We played well this weekend.
Obviously, crazy night last night. How tough is it to turn around on such short rest?
Well, I think it was huge that we scored in the first, and then Marsh was able to go out and give us 2 innings, 1 mistake, but then Petey did a good job of settling in and giving the hitters a chance, and they did what they've done.
Pitching did a great job working against a tough lineup, but this felt just like an offensive weekend, and it feels like the bats are turning on at the right time.
Yeah, there was very little room for error, kind of the whole thing. If it was in the air, it was going to get out of here. So, I thought we did a good job of mixing and matching, especially today, and then the hitters did a really good job of controlling the strike zone. So it was a good game.
Can I just talk a little bit about the way the top of the lineup, especially? I mean, obviously Walker doing his thing, but I thought Caleb really had a breakout weekend as well.
Yeah, Cotty had a big weekend. I think he's finally – I mean, we always forget that he didn't play a whole lot as a freshman. And so we knew there was going to be some learning curves there, but I think we're starting to see the best of him.
And then the big thing about this weekend, 3 wins, clinches you a spot in Ruston in a couple of weekends. Postseason is clinched. So is that just kind of a weight off the shoulders for you guys?
Oh, I think so. I think the next big one is the Don Sanders Cup coming up Tuesday. I think we want that trophy. We want to go out and play well that day, and then get into the
narrator. They did not play well that day, and we'll get that cup.
Man,
Coach Jay Sirianni there. Hey, look, that was a great weekend. That really was, and it did clinch their spot in Ruston. It clinched them a spot in the tournament. Clinched another week of our podcast in this season, number 1, Ben. Really it was, but, narrator, it didn't quite go well against Houston.
Yeah, and it was a game you should have won. Pitched it really well, only gave up 4 runs, and I think all of them were on 1 or 2 run homers, so they didn't really put anything together offensively besides just solo homer, kind of bloop and blast kind of thing. But pitched it pretty well, and then you left 11 men on base. And I think it was 7 men left on base through the first 4 innings. Just couldn't come through with the big hit, and it killed you. You lost by 1, also had a bad error in the 8th, a bad throwing error. And so just couldn't come through with the big hit offensively, and then the late error really hurt you. And it's been a couple of years now since we've won the Don Sanders Cup, and hurts to lose it for another year. Got to go get it next year.
What I was hoping to see a little more of was that weekend might spark some consistency. And it just that's what you need, that consistency day in, day out. I still haven't quite seen it from this team yet, but we've seen now signs of it again.
Yeah, you had 1 6 in a row coming into the U of H game. Obviously didn't go your way, but you still pitched it well. I mean, the bats still hit it fairly well. They just couldn't come through with the big hit. And if you can sweep this weekend, which I think you should, you go into the conference tournament winning 9 of your last 10. You got to feel pretty good about yourself. So you're seeing some signs of them starting to play a more complete game and put things together. But you just got to continue to do it, and do it on a night in, night out basis, because if you don't, it might be an early exit in Ruston. So we've seen this team do it. They just got to do it more consistently.
And this weekend, they are hosting Jack State, the worst team in the conference. They're 5-16 in the conference. They're 2-7 on the road, 18-31 overall this year, 4-6 in their last 10, while Sam Houston is 6-4 in their last 10 games. Sam Houston's 20-7 at home on the season, 5-4 in conference. It feels like one that they should sweep, but I gotta tell you, Ben, these are one of those I'm interested to see what the results will be, because look, they're set in the tournament in Ruston. One win guarantees them no worse than 5th, pretty much. Maybe 2 wins guarantees no worse than 5th. They can't move up any higher than 4th, really. So how they respond and how they come out and what their focus level is what I'm going to take the most interest in this weekend.
Right. Yeah. And it's against an opponent that you should beat. And so hopefully they go in with the right mindset and don't just kind of doze off and kind of take them for granted. Because if you do, they'll steal a game or 2. And it's really interesting you brought up the home and away record. I think Sam Houston was 6-0 in the midweek at home and 0-7 in the midweek on the road. And then they've got a good conference record at home, and they're 5-7 on the road in conference play. And so the difference between home and road play this year has just been drastic.
Yeah, it has. And there's who knows what the full reason is for that. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm a little disappointed. None of those games are going to be broadcast this weekend.
Yeah, none of them were 2 weeks ago. Also, when the students go home for the summer, the broadcast stops, since it's mainly student led. So I think it's just going to be radio this weekend and no ESPN Plus broadcast, unfortunately.
Ben,
No, I'm just as frustrated as you are.
I'm not. I'm not. Yeah. Well, I'm frustrated. I don't get to watch. I get that. I'm more frustrated that I thought we were Division One.
I thought we were Conference USA.
Your division, yeah. I mean, I thought we went up to the big boys. Stop! You can't go up to the big boys and play like a little one again. It does not a good look, and just not at all.
Yeah, and it's been that way for a couple of years now. I mean, as soon as the last week of April kind of hits, first week of May, the broadcast stopped, and the Middle Tennessee series 2 weeks ago at home also wasn't broadcast. So your final 6 home conference games aren't on ESPN Plus, which is disappointing because people like us want to watch, but also for the players too. I mean, I'm sure they want to get on there and their families want to watch, and so a little disappointing on that end too. So hopefully we can figure that out here going forward, starting next year.
Opposing fans too.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody wants to see him, and uh, I understand. Again, we go back to a conversation we have quite often on this. It takes money, but you made a commitment to go up with the big boys. Let's do it the right way.
even if you were in the Southland, I feel like you still should.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Well, okay, Ben. I will tell you that Division II is having regional tournaments this weekend. I get that it's an NCAA event. These are on home campus sites, right? Those kids have also graduated. There will be television broadcasts of these games. I can watch them. That is Division II. I can watch any Division III game I want to see all year long on a broadcast. Same with the Lone Star Conference. Dude, we're not even talking Southland here. We're talking just being a college, right? Like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, it reminds me of the turning down a home NIT bid because it was spring break. It just gives off those kind of vibes.
It does. It does. Man, I hate to end it on a note like that.
Well, let's go get a sweep, and we'll be in a better mood.
I'm always in a good. That might be how I go to sleep tonight. I might just loop this, lay down, lay down in bed tonight, loop it. Think my wife would be all right with that?
That's what I was going to say. I'm sure your wife would love that. Those were my next words.
Let me tell you, man. Our anniversary is coming up here in 2 weeks. Exactly 2 weeks from today. I have it on my calendar, so I don't forget. Stop it, Ben.
Got to be reminded.
I do, of everything. And asked her today, I was like, hey, I haven't gotten you anything. Are we going to do gifts for my anniversary?
You're like, please say no.
And she looked at me and she goes, how about we just do a card? I said, there you go. She does. We're coming up on 9 years, which is, way more than I had in my previous marriage. So that's a positive start. Way longer than I expected anyone to ever deal with my dumbass. Yet here we are. And so she had scheduled like a couples massage that day, and she put dinner that we're going to go have dinner. And apparently my mom's watching Gabe. So, we'll probably do what old people who have been married for 9 years do and come home and go to bed about 8:30. And, it'll be just a fun night, man.
Take a nap.
Mind you, she is only 38 years old.
I mean, I'm 25 and I feel it once it hits about 8 or 9.
She goes to bed before I do. Of course, she wakes up before I do. Most people wake up before I do, I think.
Corey's got it good. What is it, 9 a.m.?
Usually, well, no, it's been 6:45 because I had to take Gabe to school.
Oh, okay.
But now, I don't even think an alarm is going to get set after tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day of school.
Dang, that's early.
I'm all right with it.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I don't have to get up.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? It's a tough life, man.
Oh, I know. Just
I
stay at
need
the
one
bottom
of
of the totem pole.
The hard knock life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I am at the bottom of the totem pole, and by golly, that is where I want to be.
You'll do everything you can to stay there.
That's right. Speaking of bottom of the totem pole, you need a Flying Squirrels update. They finished 5th in the regular season, so we are playing the 4 seed in the first round next Tuesday. We will play the Bulldogs. We are 1-1 against the Bulldogs this year. They're without their coach. Their head coach is banned for the rest of the year. He got ejected in the last game for arguing some rule. I don't know. They make up rules as they go in that league anyway. They change them depending on how they feel. Whatever. Anyway, he got thrown out of a game, which is one thing. But then he decided to go on to Facebook and start talking about, I thought we played real baseball. And dude, let me tell you, getting thrown out of a game is one thing. You can overcome that. Keep your ass off social media. Keep that crap off. So that is where social media distinguishes the self-control from those that don't have self-control.
Yeah. I mean, does he play for, what was it, Iowa Park, Iowa Colony?
No, it wasn't the Iowa Park coach. But if we win our first game, we play Iowa Park then on Wednesday night. We play 7th, 8th graders, Ben. We could be playing the quarterfinals is Tuesday. The semifinals are Wednesday. The championship is Friday. We're going to need we have 4 pitchers. And we got 3 games to try to spread that out and not break any of the pitching rules. There's no pitch count. It's innings rules, but you can't pitch more than like 4 in a day. And if you pitch, I think more than 2, you have to have a day off. So I don't know. I mean, there's just here's the thing. Like, and this is actually a really good conversation to have here. If you have anything to do with rec sports, while they don't give us a pitch count, we are very, very in tune with how many pitches they're throwing. We are keeping track of their pitch count, and when they get up to 70 and 80, it's when we're cutting. And we also, part of a lot of that comes by watching them, right? When they're not striding as far, you see signs of fatigue, lagging behind. That's a good time to go ahead and realize it's time to get them out of there. And so we're very, very cautious with that. I know. I honestly want to believe nowadays that more are cautious with it than are not, just from who I talk to in my conversations with people.
Which is what we need.
Yeah.
Seeing all the arm injuries at the upper levels.
Yeah, you got to protect the kids' arms. That's what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, Sputters update. Gabe had his last game last night. Dude hit a couple of balls. There we go, man. I think Coach Larry was ready to get it over with. I don't blame him, man. First and second grade coach pitch. We had kids. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I told you about the third baseman that was sitting on third base, drawing in the dirt while kids were running around him.
Gosh. Was he chasing butterflies too?
No, he was just drawing in the dirt and sitting on the base. And
There's always one.
Do it.
There's always one. There's always one of them.
There were 2, 3 of those. My son was one of those too. My son yesterday, I had to yell at him to get his glove off his head and put it on his darn hand out there. He was at second base for crying out loud.
Yeah, you might need one. Might need a glove.
I I look out there and this dude's like having his own baseball game. He's his own pitcher out there, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh goodness.
Oh, raising me is not fun, Ben.
Yeah, mini you.
Actually, it's fun. It's a blast, man. I love me. I love mini me more than me, though.
It's the way it should be.
That's right. Ben, thank you for jumping on this, and at least my irritable stuff was held for the end this week.
That's what we're here for.
That's right. We're here to irritate. Hey, by the way, before we go, we should also make sure we mention again that after Sam Houston baseball is finished with their season, we will have one more episode, a year in the review, and then we will take a break until sometime in July. We haven't gotten that date together yet. When is the Conference USA Media Day? Isn't it
Media day or meetings?
the Media Day?
Last year, I think it was last week of July, something like that.
Let's see. I've got it here somewhere. Because if I've got, there are some things going on here in the in July that could be very, very big, and so may not be available for that. Let me see. Goodness. Okay, well, I can't find it. I can't remember when it is. Oh, but do what?
But it's important, right?
It is important. No, I mean when the media day.
Oh, I thought you meant the other thing you were talking about.
No, I know when that is. That's July 15th through 18th.
Let's see.
That is. Here we are. You hear us typing for that. Let's see.
Last year it was July 25th.
Yeah, and that would put it. Here's the problem. I think coaching school is conflicting with a lot of them this year. Oh, and see, July. Yeah, that I think it's right around that time. We will see. So I would say, Ben, I would go ahead and put a guess that we will be back probably that last week of July. Right, that last week of July, first week of August. That's probably when we'll be back. That'll give us media day, some time to get some video and digest some of that, and then start season number 2. Season number 2, Ben.
Crazy.
I know, right?
They still let us do this.
I'm not. I don't know if that says a whole lot about them. Just it might not be good.
I know, right?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Ben. I appreciate you, man. We will see you next week. And to all the listeners, we want to give a big thank you as well. Without you, none of this is happening for us. And until next week, Ben, take us out, man. We need another good sweep here this weekend.
Eat 'em up, cats, and let's go get another sweep.